This video is sponsored by Card Kingdom. If you want Magic singles or sealed product, use my link in the description. Hello everyone, doing an Edge of Eternities draft. So we got a couple interesting cards here. Haliya, I think, is really good and is probably just what we first pick. I mean, she's not insane, but a 3-mana 3/3 that incidentally gains you life and then has some warp upside is perfectly good. The lab ship is interesting. I do think it's pretty good. Like, you know, in the set review, I compared it to like the fairy that came into play tapped, but was like a 1-mana 3/3 flyer, and eventually it got going. Kind of takes a while for it to get going, but you know, once it does, you end up spending very little mana to get something pretty formidable. I do think Close Encounter is quite good as a removal spell. You know, those are the cards I would consider first picking here. Bombard, Drix, Fate Maker, like, you know, they're kind of on the radar too, but they, I think, are less good. So, Haliya it is. All right, well, we get a second pick's All Fate Stalker, which I think is one of the best uncommons in the set. It's the usual, like, banish or priest creature, but then it has this upside of doing other stuff when you warp it, you know, because you can use it to rebuy an Enters trigger, or get a blocker out of the way from your opponent for a turn, so it's quite good. I do think mono as Circuit Feeder is in the conversation too. It's more build-aroundy, though, than All Fate Stalker in terms of uncommon power level, although I think most black decks will be able to get a lot out of it. But we took one good white card, and I think these two cards are pretty comparable. I think we take the Stalker. Do think Grove Strider's pretty good. Bombard, again, also pretty good, but don't hate the Agrarian either. I don't love the starting point, but it does do a lot by, you know, generating landers and counters and stuff. Okay, so Weftstalker Ardent, if you're in an aggro deck, like red-white can be, is pretty good. Generates a bunch of damage. You know, it's good with warp too. Your warp things will trigger it twice, generally speaking, because once when you warp it, once when you cast it. Seam Rip isn't bad. I mean, you know, I would play one, certainly, but it is pretty narrow. Hymn of the Faller, Hull Carver, these things are fine, but I think the Ardent is probably the best card in this pack anyway, and it already kind of goes with the two cards with Warp that we already have, so. Exosuit Savior, meanwhile, not a great white card. I don't think Melded Moxite is great either. It's fine. You know, it's Tormenting Voice with you actually get a body out of it eventually. Happens to be an artifact. Kind of looking at Hull Carver here. Don't hate the Terra Botanist. It's not exciting, but it's fine. Whatever we take here, it's not going to be in one of these colors because the two cards in our colors are both pretty underwhelming. This does trigger our Ardent twice. You know, that's a thing, but not a terribly exciting thing. I think I'm going to take the Carver here. Being able to trade with anything is pretty nice. All right, well, now we probably just take Banishing Light. I do like the Zealot okay. You know, 3-mana 2/4 Vigilance is pretty decent. There aren't very many really cheap removal spells that can kill it in the format, at least without setup. The Kill Ship isn't going to be an interesting card, I think. It's expensive, but, like, definitely gives you your 7 mana's worth because it kills something appropriately. But yeah, we'll take Banishing Light here. White seems pretty open. Neither of these white cards are great. I do like Zookeeper Mechan a fair bit. That's probably what I end up taking here. You know, 2-mana Mana Dork has useful type. That activated ability is pretty good. Radiant Strike is okay. It's inefficient enough at killing creatures that aren't artifacts that I don't love it, though. Like, you know, I would certainly play one, but I think the Mechan is just a better card anyway. So, ooh. Okay, well, white's definitely open, and red reasonably so, too, with another Mechan. We've got the Luminary and a Wedge Light Rammer, both of which I think are really good. It's one of those things where, like, they're both really good because they give you multiple permanents. It's just a question of, like, which of these is better? And this early in the format, it's kind of hard to tell. I kind of think the Luminary is better, despite being a common. This does have kind of more synergy for our deck, in that the red-white deck is about tapping things. But I think the Luminary is better, enough better. Okay, so we've got a Zealot again and a Scrapper. Scrapper's not terrible. We don't have a lot when it comes to low drops right now, and it is one. It's also an artifact, which matters. I do think the Zealot's a better card, but I think we could use a card like the Scrapper. All right, so the Sweeper's not terrible, especially if we get synergy for it. I don't love Zealous Display. It's too one-dimensional. These cards are rarely... Like, they can work out in really specific decks, but in most decks, it's not going to work. We'll take the Sweeper here. All right, we'll take a Drone. It's better if you're in a counter deck, but it is a solid 2-drop. So is this. Feels like white's definitely open. I'm still less sure about red. Don't love Cryo Shatter. I haven't talked about it that much, but letting the thing you're trying to remove block once and still have all of its abilities and stuff like that is not great. All right, so lots of good stuff here. I do think this card's quite good, you know, if we were in blue. Don't think we are, especially because there's a really good white card here in the Rammer. And the Team Leader's also quite good. And these two commons, the Mechan and the Focus Fire, are both quite good too. I think we're going to take a Spacecraft now over Team Leader here. Yeah. Gives us a body up front, and I think basically all of these that give you something up front are going to be pretty good, especially because the things they give you help you station them. I think we take Terra Pact Intimidator here. It's either a 2-mana 4/3 or a 2-mana 2/1 that makes you 2 landers. Usually your opponent's going to choose the 4/3, but we're fine with that. Emergency Eject, if anything, has moved down for me like I thought it would be, and it is still better than Stroke of Midnight and the like in Limited, but which is usually an F, but it's probably like a D. You 2-for-1 yourself, and that's just hardly ever a good thing in Limited. So yeah, Haliya, you know, does incentivize life gain other than herself because she does start drawing us cards when we gain 3 or more life. Well, we'll take another Intimidator here for sure. I do like Tractor Beam. It's played pretty well so far. Obviously, we're not in that deck right now. I don't like this Breacher. I haven't talked about it much, but most of the time when a card's ceiling is big vanilla creature and its floor is horrendous vanilla creature, it's not that good in Limited. And that's the case there. Sure, our deck can make a lot of bodies and stuff, and it'll be big a decent chunk of the time, or decent sized at least, but there's also a huge chunk of the time where it just isn't. So I do like the Trooper. You know, we don't really have Top Curve yet, but as a late game card, which is what it usually is, it starts letting you reload your hand in a pretty real way. The Torpedo gets better the more Spacecraft we have. It's not that good if you don't have them. Like, you know, we see this artifact all the time. Lets you destroy a thing, but it's expensive and slow, and there's a window where your opponent can get rid of it, things like that. But we'll take the Trooper here. Right now we only have 1 Spacecraft. Oh no, we have 2 if we count the Sweeper. Don't like Pinnacle Starcage. You know, it's too, like, if you look at our deck right now, it hurts us just as much, and you're never going to get to 8 mana, so it's mostly an awkward symmetrical effect that is hard to break the symmetry of. We may take Radiant Strike here. I do like this. We do have a bunch of cheap Warp. Yeah, maybe I take it. I mean, if you trigger this once, you feel like you've done your job. I just worry about the starting stat line, which is not great. 4 mana, 3/3. I don't really want to take another one. So we're looking at Full Bore versus Bright Spear Zealot here. This does give us another cheap spell to help us with the other thing. We do have a bunch of Warp, but I think most of the time it's not worth using this on a Warp creature. It's exciting to be like, look, I can attack with my Warp creature. But most of them, like, that's like Cat spending 2 cards on Lava Axe, basically, is what you end up doing. So I don't advise that for the most part. But it is a good trick that has that upside, which sometimes matters. This is also a trick of sorts, but it's so bad when you can't use it, which I think is too often. So I think we'll take the War Rager, which I also don't like very much, but at least it's a creature. At least it does something on its own. Echoing Deep's not really something we're after. The Sky Warden's okay. Maybe I pick up a Zealous Display here. We do have a lot of warp, so triggering this is relatively easy, but how much do I need more 5-drops? I feel like I'll be able to... Oh, another really late mech-in. I feel like I'll be able to get a Zealous display if I really want one, and maybe I do, but... Yeah, another War Rager. I do think it's better than Security. We have a few counters, but even with a counter, cards with that tap ability have not been very good lately. Tapping a creature down just isn't what it used to be when everyone was playing Air Elemental, and tapping it down meant it wasn't a threat in any way, shape, or form, you know? Master Decoy was an awesome limited card once upon a time. That's a late Tractor Beam. It's not insane, but, like, you get to steal a creature, and if it has abilities, that's awesome, and if it doesn't, it's still removal. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. We'll take another Rammer here. This pack's pretty strong in general. I think Servandum's pretty good. This Signpost is good. Desculpting Blast is great. Here's one of the cards you can use with full board that a lot of people have mentioned in the comments, like on my set review, where they're like, look, I can do 12. And I reply by saying, you can, it's true, but if my opponent is 2 for 0ing themselves to do 12 to me, I'm probably still winning the game. So, even though they just did 12 to me. That's how big of a problem card disadvantage is. The Pangolin's not bad in our deck, nor is Seam Rip. How many artifacts do we have? Yeah, we got 7-ish. It is always surprisingly hard to have mana left over for this type of effect. Like, it always seems, it's like, it's 1 mana, what's the big deal? But usually when you're curving out, it just doesn't happen. Seam Rip is okay. It's not like we have a ton of removal. I mean, we have some. So maybe I should take one of these, you know, solid but not exciting removal spells. Radiant Strike can certainly deal with more things, so I think that's where I'll go. Another Night Luminary. I think we grab it here. There is a Plasma Bolt, too, and an Orbital Plunge. Both of those are cards that I like, but... You know, these are just cards that, well, this can give you a lander, so it can give you more than a 1-for-1, but man, this just generates so much value and so many bodies. There's a Quantum Riddler here, by the way, which is maybe the biggest bomb in the set, so that's going to be nice for somebody. It's a nice pack for us, too. It's an embarrassment of riches of sorts. I think we take a Luminary. I think on average it's going to be better even than good removal is, just because it gives you so much. Okay, the Land Seeker, pretty good. Less good in our deck than in some. But I do think it's what we take. Okay, another Luminary. I'm fine with that. And at this point, maybe Zealous whatever is more worth it. Well, yeah, now we have 4 Night Luminaries. So what's amazing is this is a 2-drop and a 4-drop, and it feels fine at both places on the curve. We are super good at going wide down. We have way too many 4-drops. But, yeah, well, we get a Plasma Bolt anyway, and I do think it's what we take here over a Molecular Modifier. We could consider this in a deck with 4 Night Luminaries, and I'd take it a lot of the time, I think, but I think Plasma Bolt is hard to say no to. Like, there were a lot of cards I would have taken it over, it's just that Plasma Bolt isn't one of them. So, I didn't. Yeah, we do have some 4s to cut. I think maybe the Land Seeker is not really worth it in this deck. Do I want a Command Bridge? I mean, it's not going to hurt, and I'm not playing another Sky Warden or a Bygone Colossus. This isn't really a 4-drop. That does make our curve look better, because we can cast it on 2 when we need to. I may end up cutting this just because, you know, it's best in a deck that can double spell a lot. And we've got, like, Warp, which helps with that, but I'm still concerned about pulling that off consistently. Well, we do get an Orbital Plunge and a Focus Fire. I think I'm more into the Plunge. Something that will kill things all the time. Focus Fire does cost 1 mana, but it's situational enough that I don't like it as much as Orbital Plunge. Okay. Got some trimming to do. We're not particularly... So we'll put this here again. I mean, I probably do need to cut some 4s. This is also only kind of a 4. And as good as the Land Seeker is, I think in this particular deck, we probably do cut it. I don't think we play Command Bridge. The downside of needing to tap something else and everything when we're only a 2-color deck just isn't worth it. So we'll just run basic lands. I mean, yeah, I like this card a lot. But it and the Lightsmith are both better in, like, different decks. I feel like the Rammer is more like what we're interested in. Yeah. Probably cut the Sky Warden. I like the Trooper a lot more. Probably lose Wormwall Sweeper. Don't love the Pilot, but it is a 2-drop. Also don't love the War Ragers that much. I think I'd rather hold on to the 2-drops than one of those at least. Yeah, I don't like Flight Deck Coordinator very much either. I mean, it's fine, but it is nice with Haliya. Gives us a way to gain life beyond just Haliya, but still not into that. Haliya plus this Stationed is going to be pretty sweet. Yeah, I do think I like the Coordinator more than I like the Rager. At least, you know, the Rager has a much worse starting point, and yeah. All right. Well, I think this deck looks pretty good overall. Do we want to change our lands a little? I don't think so. We probably do want more plains. These are 2 1-mana red things that we don't actually play on turn 1 anyway, 99% of the time. So, yeah, we need the white for our 6 white 2-drops, and then, you know, we have more white than red in general. So, all right. Okay. Well, can't do anything super early, but I think we're kind of okay with it. Like, I can warp this just to gain 1 life on turn 1. I mean, I think our ideal hand probably has more early plays than this, but yeah, I do like that card, Sammy's Curiosity. Yeah, we just warped this for a life. We're gonna crack a lander. Yeah, you can ramp your mana pretty effectively in this format, and fix it too. Okay. I like the Mechan here. Drawing a 2-drop was nice, since we didn't have one previously. Wedgelight Rammer gains us 2 life on its own. See, this is the thing. This can generate tons of value if we're not careful. So I'd probably hit it with Banishing Light. I could do All Fate Stalker instead. But... yeah. All Fate Stalker is pretty good. There's not that much value in us leaving up 1 red mana, so I think we just hit it with the Stalker. You're not an assassin, right? That would be a problem. They can kill it and get it back, but at least it doesn't have an enters trigger. That was part of the calculus there in deciding how I wanted to remove it. Because this is a lot easier to kill than Banishing Light is. And I definitely, like, don't attack with it here. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a great plan. I do think we play Haliya and then play our Intimidator. Yeah. So let's play her. And then if they decide to give us landers, we end up getting to draw a card too. I don't think they're going to give us landers, but because those will be artifacts entering. Oh, they did. So we do get to draw a card and gain some life in exchange for having a small creature. We are not attacking with All Fate Stalker. There's plenty of removal that can kill it if it attacks. So, so we get a card. We haven't really gotten to be aggressive yet, but obviously right now our board position's pretty good. Let's hope they don't have a sweeper. There are several in this set, and All Fate Stalker is particularly weak against them, but okay. So, well, I can get pretty close to gaining 3 life again. I don't think we will, though. So let's go to combat and attack with both of these. We are down with that trade. So actually I can gain enough life again if I warp this and cast the rammer. Yeah. Let's do that. I like drawing cards. So they could have destroy target tapped creature, so we're not going to tap that, but we will go ahead and station with everything else. They are still at 20, which is kind of wild. But they did scoop, because we're in a pretty commanding position. Yeah, I don't blame them. That went pretty well. Didn't really expect to draw 2 cards with Haliya in our very first game. But, you know, because you can choose when to cast her and she counts herself, it is easier than it might otherwise be. Okay, looks like a pretty good hand. It is interesting. It's like, do I want to warp this onto or play out one of my actual 2-drops? That is a good question. I mean, obviously, one generates more value with the Luminary in the long run, but playing out a mana creature is pretty good. Let's see what they hit here. Do they get a counter? Nope, they get a spacecraft, and I think it's one of the better ones. Ooh. I'd probably play the Intimidator now that I drew it, because we're happy either way, and right now is when a 4/3 is generally going to be at its best, so yeah, we'll just run it out. And if they give us 2 landers, that's fine. It's a tough choice. I don't know what I would do. I haven't encountered this yet myself. I think I'd probably just make it be a 4/3 like they did. Yeah, this thing's good. I think it might be green's best uncommon. It just buffs everything and usually turns into a 5/4 flying trample in the same turn. It buffs everything. So feels a lot like a 5-mana 5/4 trample with flyer with that as an enters trigger, which is not great. I mean, it is great. It's not great for the person playing against it. That's what I mean. Let's see. Ooh. Okay. Well, we're definitely attacking. Take 4. So what I'm trying to decide here is whether I'd like to... I could warp this and this, do 1 to them in the process, and then cast this later. I could also just play out the Ardent and start getting lots of pings. I mean, we have 2 cards in our hand already that do multiple damage. multiple times. I think we just run this out as a creature rather than warp it. There's just so much damage we can do so quickly. I mean, every time we warp or cast this, each of these add shock, basically. So, that's pretty good. Secluded Starforge, yeah. So now they have a good way to block our Intimidator. It's sort of did what it needed to do. It is a little bit annoying that I don't have a 4th mana. It makes me want to run out the Mechan so that I can start doing more with my mana. Even though warping this is exciting, I think doing this is better. So they're probably going to play this next turn, and that's not going to be great for us. Buff the whole board, like I said, then get a big creature. We don't currently have any removal or anything. The good news is, you know, our creatures are big enough that it's not catastrophic if they buff their whole board here. But it's not great. So, yeah. Like, I can still effectively block all 3 of these. This is the only thing that's a problem. And, of course, the greenhouse itself is a problem. Although, I can attack into it with my Intimidator if I really want to, so... Alright, so now we've got a lot more mana, which I think is good news for us. Wedge Light Rammer is good, but I kind of just want to warp both of these. Each of them will do 2, so that'll drop them to 9. That seems pretty good. There's also a world where I play Flight Deck Coordinator and Dockworker Drone. We just have so much damage in our hand because of that Ardent. I think doing the warp thing twice is best for us. It is tempting to try to get the Rammer into play first and then start warping, because if I start warping, it's a lot easier to station this, but I think we just do what we just did. And I think, you know, I would have done it second instead of first in retrospect. I mean, they're almost assuredly trading with their Luminary anyway, but let's make them do it here. Yeah. That's fine. So each time we cast those again, they'll do 2 damage if our Ardent is still hanging out. So they can make tokens. They have a big flyer. We don't have a great way to block these anymore, but I don't think that's a massive problem. Them killing our Ardent would make our life a lot harder, I think. Because right now, at least... Nice. That card's so good. I haven't gotten my hands on any of them since the early access event where I had 2 in one of my decks. I think everyone has realized that they are... This is an insane card. So yeah, this is going to become a creature. The question is whether they choose to attack us with said creature or just try to get their shields up. We do have removal, we just haven't drawn it. If we draw removal, things get a lot better for us, because this isn't impossible to kill, and if they sink a bunch of resources into making it a creature, you know, we're going to feel pretty good about things, but we currently don't have a way to do it. We're just going to try to go really wide and ping them a bunch, and then maybe eventually attack them when their life total's low enough. That's pretty much the plan here. Wouldn't hate drawing a land, because I'd be able to play a Luminary and a Dockworker Drone, which will drop them to 8. I don't know why it took them so long to kill it when that was pretty clearly the play, but it did take them a while. Alright, so we'll take 3. Then they're probably going to, yeah, make that a creature. Okay, we did draw land. It's not nearly as impressive now to do the ping thing. Well, we can't do it. So it's definitely not impressive. However, I do think going wide still has a lot of value here. At some point, I'll play the rammer and really get, you know, getting an aerial threat against them does sound pretty good when they've got Starfield Shepherd coming along. Does need 9, and I'm not particularly close to that. 2, 4, 5, 6. Well, we're 1 away. So for now, I think we'll just play out our Luminary and our Dock Worker drone as planned. It is too bad we didn't get the ping anymore. But we were sort of using a fairly fragile strategy to try to win this game with our Weft Stalker Ardent, the main way to get there. Yep, we'll take 5. Banishing Light, where are you? Okay. Haliya would be pretty good. But so would removal. And we get neither. However, we are going to be able to get this online now. Let's also play our Flight Deck Coordinator, gain us some additional life. I think I'd rather tap 3 of these than the two 2/2/2s. So we go up to 14. A little bit of life is pretty useful right now. Given how things have gone so far, there's a good chance to just have removal. Yeah, that's how this game has gone so far. Our opponent's just like, oh yeah, I have an answer for your thing, but we can't draw ours. These things happen. So yeah, they can hit me pretty hard in the air here. They can hit me pretty hard in general here. They can't go completely insane since we're wide enough that a backswing is a pretty big problem for them, but yeah, just hit us 4, 8. Yep, they do have lethal here because we can. The most we can do is gain 2 life, and they can hit us for 8. So well, there's very little chance they make a mistake or anything here. But let's go ahead and attack with everything. Don't think we're gonna steal a win here. Yeah, I mean, Atmospheric Greenhouse coming down, buffing everything, and me never drawing a single removal spell is gonna make life. It's gonna make life hard. You know, the Zealous combat trick, I mean, it's always tempting to think of it when you have a board like this, which would be, it'd be pretty good on it. But maybe, you know, it may actually just be worth running in a deck like this. You know, I'm skeptical of a card that's that narrow, but certainly it would have been better than drawing a land. But, like, removal would have been about as good, especially earlier in the game. And it's useful in more situations than when you're really wide. So, like, you know, there were a lot of things we could have drawn that would have helped a lot, and we just didn't. Even though it's tempting to think of the +3/+0 buff. Okay, looks pretty good. There's one of our removal spells that had forsaken us. Guess we're gonna warp Night Luminaries 2 turns in a row. Don't hate it. Pangolin. I don't think we orbital plunge that. There's plenty of time for that. Just adding more to the board. Getting our 1/1s is fine by me. Hey, look, they do have a mana left over in order to pump their Pangolin, which, again, we can kill at some point if we really need to. I think playing the Luminary is best here because it gives us a creature that can trade for this, even if they put another counter on it. Hey, look, another removal spell. I knew I had some. So yeah, let's attack for 2. Cast one of these. Well, no, if they put another counter on it, I can't kill it with the Luminary. Yeah, we'll take 4. So, it is getting to the point where it's kind of a problem, and at some point maybe I should chump it at least. So we have 6. So we can get this to 8 charge counters. It's not quite enough. Do I want to kill the Pangolin now? It's not a terrible idea. But I think probably just playing out another Night Luminary is better. And actually, we'll attack with this one. They are potentially going to give something haste. I haven't liked this card very much so far, but when it lines up good, it's pretty good. It just doesn't feel like it lines up that often, but of course it will here. It's amazing that they've always had 1 mana for literally every artifact that they've played. All right. You're going to die, and I'm going to take 5. Okay. Well, probably time to start using removal, huh? This is an instant. Kind of like the idea of the plunge, because I also can use the counter. I mean, the token that it makes. But this is a lot more restrictive, so I think we're going to go ahead and, yeah. Deal with that thing. Go up to 11. I think we'll attack them for 3. If they play something and give it haste, I can block it with a token if I really have to. They do lose this if they don't use it, unlike every other lander. I mean, if they just make a robot here, okay. Yeah, that's not awesome. So we're going to go ahead and chump. We're at low enough life that I don't think I can just be like, yeah, hit me. All right, so Plasma Bolt on that. Fair enough. Up to 7 lands. So yeah, we need to orbital plunge that thing. I think I attack them for 2. I mean, they've got to run out of haste creatures at some point, right? Right? Yes. Use that to make a robot, please. Stop having good turns. All right. Well, it could be a lot worse. That's for sure. Are you going to attack me for 2 or put a couple of counters on your gunship? These are your options. So I can play both rammers next turn, which is a thing. Yeah, we will crack this. Okay. Rammer. This thing does have flying, unfortunately. It's also Rammer Flight Deck Coordinator. Gains some life. Yeah, I don't hate that. Doesn't feel like we're in a great spot again, though. Second game in a row. Yeah, that's annoying. So this gives that first strike trigger, +1/+0 first strike. All right, they're going all in on their that. You can't. Okay. Well, I'm a little surprised they attacked us. So let's play another Rammer here. And a Starfighter pilot. I think we turn this into a creature here. Because that'll gain us 5 life, which is a pretty solid amount. We are looking at significant damage on the ground, but not that much. So let's do this first. Ooh, Banishing Light, yes please. Yeah, then we'll tap it. Tap that. Tap this. I think we hit him for 6 here. Because on the backswing, I mean, we're gonna gain a bunch of life. So we're gonna gain 3 from this and 2 from this. So yeah, put us up to 13. It would take a lot for them to do lethal. Oh, they might have removal though. They do. Oh, I was thinking this had lifelink. Way to read a card. Well, that means we're almost dead. That was a mistake and a half. Definitely wouldn't have attacked with it if I didn't think it had lifelink. Yeah, so we're dead. Obviously, I deserve to lose a game like that. Oh. White keywords are all the same, aren't they? Or something. I don't know how I've played with that card as much as I have and haven't realized it didn't have lifelink. I guess most of the time I haven't really gotten to attack with it. I've just used it to keep people from attacking me, which would have been optimal there. They would have still been able to use the removal spell. So if I hadn't attacked with my 3/3, though, I would have gained 2 life, which would have been nice. Yeah, bad. That was bad. No way around that. Okay. Well, we can kind of go off with Haliya. We do need to find some more mana, but it's hard not to keep this. The one game we did win so far was with Haliya, so go ahead and warp her for 1 life. We're gonna warp a lot of things, see whether or not it was enough. I haven't been very impressed with Hilderblade so far, or most of the cards with Void that are like horrible cards when you can't trigger Void, which is what I think Hilderblade is. I mean, it's not terrible, but I did lose an early access to it. What do I want to lose here? I have so many Night Luminaries, and everything costs 4. But I don't think we really want to lose removal. I don't love the idea of losing the Rammer, but I do think the Luminaries are probably better since I can already cast them. So, okay, 3rd land is good. That means we'll cast Haliya this turn. Fine by me. The fewer creatures they have, the less likely it is that they can put Hilderblade on something. Ooh, that card's good, though. So they can reanimate this as a vanilla 1/1. Like, that alone is already pretty good. And that always bothers me about that card, this card. This does gain me 3 life, so I get to kill this. Actually, it has to be tapped. Never mind. It's not an artifact. So let's attack with Haliya. And we'll have to hold off on killing the Harmonist until a later turn. Like next turn. Which will turn it into a card draw spell, too, which is pretty great, I think. Gaining 2 off of this is also pretty good. Okay. I would imagine they reanimate a 1/1. No? You don't want to reanimate your 1/1? There we go. Loses all abilities, thank goodness. It would be real annoying if I had to discard again. So let's attack with this. I'm hoping they'll be kind of aggressive blocking because I think they can reanimate their Land Seeker. Yeah. Real aggressive. Yeah, we'll do 3 to the Land Seeker. Then we'll cast Radiant Strike on this, which will gain us some life, draw us a card. So next turn we can draw another card if we go Luminary, warp 1 Luminary, cast another, which seems pretty good. Yeah, they do get to do that. Okay. Well, now I probably warp both and cast the drone. Yeah. Oh, wait. I don't have enough white mana for that. So, cast 1, warp the other is plenty good, I think. Yeah. Let's go to combat. I don't think anything's happening, but... So we get to draw another card. There's an Orbital Plunge, which is pretty useful. Haliya definitely drawing me more cards than I expected. I mean, all the Luminaries help, but, you know, Radiant Strike turning into adding draw a card to a removal spell is pretty sweet. Okay. We can draw another card here. I think we go ahead and hit the Virus Beetle with Orbital Plunge here, rather than draw a card, though. I just love drawing cards so much. I'll only be able to... Oh, I will, because this will give me a token. No, not quite. I only have 6 mana. Well... Yeah, you know, I think we attack with the Luminary here. And just plan on drawing another card this turn. For now. Because I can go Luminary, Dockworker Drone, and draw another card. Which works for me. So we go Luminary. I mean, we're building out our board and drawing cards. So, you know, it's certainly well worth it. All right. And she sort of feeds off herself, too, which I think, you know, that's usually something I think about in a set review, but I don't think I did here. It does have to be a non-token, which I think means we want it to be Dockworker Drone and put a counter on one of our tokens, because now it can attack. All right, now it's definitely Orbital Plunge time, because we can just destroy them. We'll even draw a card this turn, probably. So we gain a life off of that. We attack with everything. Then we go Scrapper, Mechan. We could have a sweeper, and you know, maybe I should have played a little more conservatively with that in mind. But I think our position, even if they play a sweeper there, we have like an enormous amount of card advantage. So Haliya is how we win. Hey, I've apparently killed enough creatures for the Dies to Doomblade achievement. Surprised it took that long. So Haliya is the common thread in our 2 games we managed to win so far. In both games, she was not killed ever, and we drew a bunch of cards. That's how it's going to go, you know, if you have her in play in lots of ways to trigger her. You know, she's great with Warp, too. She feels, you know, I think I gave her a B in the set review. Feels more like a B+, or maybe a build around like A- when you really get there on what she needs from you. All right, another pretty good hand. And it has Haliya in it. That means we win, right? One other nice thing about Warp is that, you know, against a black deck that might have like the coercion effect, you can throw her away and get value from her later. Yeah, we'll let it be a 4/3. Now we'll play our own, see what they do. With them having a 4/3, I think if I were them, I might give me the landers here. No, they didn't. Just because then they know their 4/3 can attack through my 4/3. But I think we're both okay with that just turning into a trade too. And since we both did that exact thing. Okay. So I think we're going to play out Haliya here. I mean, we are playing against a deck that might be able to easily deal with her. They're, you know, black-red, but I think we still do it. We can start getting close to drawing cards with her, like, next turn if she is alive. Yeah, no, she's not. Okay. It's kind of funny that I can... Yeah, so I think I'm going to warp this, and then warp this, and exile this. Like, that seems like a pretty good turn. Because... now we just get to hold on to it on the board. Ooh, gross. And they warped it, so that means I'm gonna have to take that hit again at some point. Also can't hit it with my Stalker. But that's okay. I'm alright with that. So we will attack them here. Good chance they just block with their Evangel. I always have a hard time with this word because of Magic. Like, I learned it when I was, I don't know, 11 from a Magic card. And I pronounced it Evangel and did for years until I learned that that was incorrect, and I still have a hard time getting it correct. Even today, even as someone with a PhD in religious history, I still can't say that word right because of Magic. It's pretty wild. Do I leave up removal so that I can just kill this thing? It is going to ping my creature first. But I kind of think we do. I get to gain 3. Yeah. So we'll just end the turn. So this will grow to a 3/3 here. Or it won't. Interesting. So they must be worried I have... Well, they know I have All Fate Stalker just hanging out. So they're like, well, I'm just going to attack you with one thing. And to that I say, okay. I was thinking about using Radiant Strike on it, but I don't really think we want to. Let's try to hit it with Orbital Plunge, because the Strike can actually kill the Hellkite before it hits us. Unlike the alternative. Yeah. Well, not if they play it this turn. I was thinking they were afraid to because of our All Fate Stalker, but I guess they were maybe thinking about Radiant Strike straight up, which good on them. We will go ahead and crack this. Okay. I think we use the Strike because it's more flexible. Or less flexible, rather, than Banishing Light. And we can only kill it when it's tapped, so... Kind of looks like they're flooding out, which is not terrible news for us. Let me go ahead and play the Rammer here. That does not have lifelink. End our turn. Yep. Are they going to kill both of our creatures? Try to get me to play out my All Fate Stalker, maybe? I'm not going to play it out unless it has something to exile. That much I can tell you. Alright. Well then. Oh, nice. So I think we just run it out because it'll be better for this. It'll mean more damage in the long term, short term rather. But it means more value. But they're at 7, so I think just pressuring them as much as we can is better than trying to warp here. And then we will pass the turn. Well, that was nice. So we go Vault Guard Trooper, station it with him, and try to swing for lethal. I think there's a good chance they can kill something here. I do lose my Banishing Light here. It is a May. But with All Fate Stalker in my hand, I think discarding Banishing Light and drawing 2, like with All Fate Stalker hanging out in the ether, is probably fine. Nice. Did cut propulsion. Yeah. I think it's fine to discard. Yeah, we just draw more gas. They flooded out in a situation where it was really bad for them, too. It's always bad, but we were ahead on board when it started happening, so... All right. We lost 2 in a row, but now we've won 2 in a row. Can we keep it up? Ooh, not really a hand we can keep. I mean, if we just don't draw a plains, we basically lose. So definitely sending that one back. Those luminaries like us, though. All right, fewer lands, but at least they'll allow us to cast some things. So, like before, I think we hold on to the luminaries because they're castable on 2, unlike the rammer. And I'd like to hold on to the fixing and having another 2-drop in case of emergency. Like we never, you know, it takes us too long to draw one. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. That is one of the nice things about these warp cards, is that they fit in multiple spots on the curve. I do think I'd probably play the pilot, especially if we whiff on our next land drop. Okay, we didn't. I still think I might play it because the card selection it's going to give us seems pretty important in this game. So I think that's what we're going to do instead of warping. This is a free sack outlet, which does enable some nonsense in the format. We don't see them very often anymore that are more than once per turn and instant speed. Like at lower rarities, we just don't see that very often. Okay, see, here's one of those combos. They get to surveil too. Makes me wish I'd gone for the token. And then they'll sack it and surveil again. So, at least they put this thing in uncommon. There have been formats in the past where there were good sack outlets, and they're like, let's put the threat in effect at common. And it messes up the entire format, so. I think we play Intimidator here. We need the body that can at least potentially trade with the Zealot. It is funny, like, if they put counters on it, does that mean they have another systems override? They might. It's a bunch of uncommons. You're not really supposed to get that many of those, but I could see it happening. All right, they're going for the surveil right away. Yeah, all right. I need to kill this Zealot. If I draw a land, I probably do. Did not draw a land, but at least I can play 2 things. So we will warp. And play out our Scrapper. They are, like, running out of gas, and we have all kinds of stuff we can do, thanks to our Night Luminaries, but we do need to draw a 4th land, or we might not get to do them. Is it worth trying for a double block here? I don't think so. Nah. With their mana up, it probably just results in them burning a removal spell, and which is a thing, but it's not that great. Okay. I might need to kill that even more now because it has flying, unfortunately. Can sack cards to draw cards. It can't sack over and over again, but it can hit it. We're at 9. It can hit us, and yeah. I think that means I go for the kill on it here. They're going to sack it, and we won't even get our lander. It's another thing that the Zealot does, which is annoying, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm not double blocking, so I'm just gonna go for it. Go for the 2 damage here. Down to 6 we go. Memorial Vault, not particularly useful with the lander token, thank goodness. Am I down with discarding my hand and trying to get more action? I feel like I don't love the idea too much, because I do have another Luminary in my hand. So I think we'll attack him for 2 here. Then play our Luminary from exile, our warped Luminary, which I am more than willing to trade for an Umbral Caller Zealot. So this is why this card worries me, because you have to give up something real or it doesn't really do anything. Oh, great. this again. And we take lethal. Yeah, I mean, they did the thing. I do think it was... We were pretty close to turning the corner there with the value that we had, but what are you going to do when they have the steel card and this free sacrifice outlet in play? I guess the answer is maybe kill that instead of killing the flyer, but the flyer would have done the same thing. It just... They would have sacked our creature and drawn a card. So it wouldn't have made a difference, that much of one. So that is a bummer. I do think this deck is better. I did play really poorly in one game, but I don't know if we were winning that game anyway. Obviously, the games where Haliya went off were really great. Weft Stalker Ardent seemed pretty good. The Luminaries seemed quite good. The stations, the spacecrafts that add to the board continue to feel like quality cards. You know, I was running a few subpar cards like Starfighter Pilot, Slag Drill Scrapper, and Flight Deck Coordinator, which aren't things I love running, but I think given what we had, that was the best bet for our deck. You know, the Intimidator felt good, the Mechans continue to feel good, so I think the deck was pretty good, probably capable of better than 3-3, you know, even at Mythic, but didn't do it this time. So I'll see you guys all in the next video.